So I've got Trip back on the show from Capital Mindset. We have an amazing episode planned for you today about Bitcoin and why it may just be on the verge of doing something super bullish. So we're excited to unpack that for you, as well as what's happening with altcoins and a few good altcoin setups as we get into this next leg of the bull run. Trip, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Megan. Thank you. How are you?
Good. We're excited to have you back on. Actually, following up on last episode that we did together, you made some pretty epic calls. So we're going to go over that today as well. And we're going to follow up on all of the positions that are starting to build and what's on the charts. And so without further ado, let's just jump right into Bitcoin.
Okay, great. So this is the Bitcoin 1 month chart that we're going to start with. So previously we just had this the break above this yellow trend line, and this was the top from the 2021 rally for Bitcoin. So you had this double top over here, and now we've started this trend line, and it's connected over to this 2024 top in April. So now that we've broken above this trend line, we've come back down for a retest, and we're going to be focusing on these fib extensions from here on out. So now that we're holding the 1.272 with a nice green candle, we should be looking for a move to test the 1.618 fib resistance next, and that's at around 102,000 for Bitcoin. And then if we break above the 1.618, we're looking for the next fib target at the 2.0, and that's going to be about 122K for Bitcoin, 122.5K. So then the next chart we're going to look at, this is the Bitcoin 1-day chart. So Bitcoin's been in this falling wedge for a little while. We're starting to see this break above the 200 MA again here. So this yellow line coming down, this is the 200 MA on the daily. That's a simple moving average. So now, as you can see, we're moving towards this upward trend line. We're trying to get a breakout here. We're going to see how this develops over the next couple of days. But right now, it's a very important time to focus on Bitcoin, at least for this 1-day falling wedge. Once this wedge is broken out, we're looking for a move to this resistance, and that's a local resistance around 92 to 93,000. And then once that breaks, we're going to test the highs again. That's what we're looking for at about 109K for Bitcoin. Next chart we're going to look at, this was our Bitcoin 4-hour setup that we actually posted in the group. So this is from March 10th. We saw Bitcoin 4-hour. This is a short-term long setup. We were trading the bullish divergence to resistance. So on the 4-hour chart, this is over here down at the bottom. You can see on the RSI, you got your oversold conditions and bullish divergence. So you got a lower low on the price action, and the RSI made a higher low, also in oversold conditions at the same time. So the 4-hour looked really good for an entry here. We had a support entry. This is our risk assessment. So you could risk 4% in this trade, and we were looking for a 14% move to this resistance. The other powerful factor behind this move, let alone the 4-hour divergence that we can already see, if you zoom out to the higher time frames over here, we actually talked about this in one of our previous videos. We were looking for this wick. That was our first bottom that we thought this could be the bottom, but if it was to roll over, we're looking for another dip that might go a little bit lower. And now we're seeing that bullish divergence that we were expecting. So this daily bullish divergence combined with the oversold plus bullish divergence on this 4-hour chart has given us a pretty solid move up so far for about 11.8% for Bitcoin.
Right. So let's actually roll that clip now from the last episode, just so you guys can see exactly what Trip said and what's happening now. What are you thinking about it potentially being a bottom here?
Yeah, very good odds. I mean, we've been watching the RSI on Bitcoin. So this is, you probably can't see all of these time frames so clearly, but this is the 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour, 6 hour, 8 hour, 12 hour, and the daily. So this is just monitoring the RSI. And we're seeing that all these divergences are starting to pop up. So on the 4-hour, you got 4. This 4 over here represents different oscillators or indicators that are showing this divergence. So on the 4-hour, you got 4 of them. On the 3-hour, there's one. On the 2-hour, there's one. So another one on the 1 hour. And then you got these extreme oversold conditions still on the higher time frames. I mean, the daily came all the way down to, almost 23, 24. Wow. So these are extreme oversold levels, and everything else hit oversold already. And now the lower time frames, they're starting to creep back up and leaving those oversold conditions. So as far as looking for a bottom, if it was any other day of the week or any other time of the year, I would say the same thing, that a bottom is probably either in or very close. The only other thing I might be expecting is if the 1 day comes back down again for another test, if it happens to push lower than this wick does, and this RSI doesn't go any lower, then you're going to get a bullish divergence on the daily chart. And that would probably be the icing on the cake for me to say that this is actually confirming a bottom.
Wow. Can we just stop for a second? I mean, what an epic call that you made on that show when you started talking about this. It was, I forget how long ago now, but you came on and you said, we've probably seen the bottom, or if not, we're very, very close, and we could retest, swipe the lows one more time, which is what you just said. That's phenomenal. I mean, these are the kind of things that we're looking at in the group. And you shared this gem with our audience, which is pretty crazy now. And we're looking at, just the results of that. So, wow. That's pretty amazing to look back on. And now we're looking that we're in a very bullish posturing. We're going to go over the lines in the sand in a minute, but you've got a few more Bitcoin charts, right?
Yeah, we're just going to go over a couple more just to give another broader picture of what's going on here. So this is just our short-term setup here on the 4-hour. This is the trade we posted in the group, at least for these short-term gains at this resistance. Once we get here, we're going to see what the reaction is. If we break above it, we'll have a new plan set up. If we get rejected, we're probably going to come back down and test the support again, at least in the short term, right? I don't know what's going to happen if we come down here, but this is something I would be expecting. So you got a lower low over here. Actually, this was the low. Then you had a lower low, and we haven't seen a higher low yet. So that's just something to keep in the back of your mind if we get a rejection at this level. But yes,
and 90,000 is a big psychological level, right? So we should be expecting potentially some sort of resistance at that level. And so you're saying that if we break above 90K, then we'll look at the next levels, but otherwise we could come back down to test around those previous lows.
Yeah, exactly. 90,000 has been the floor for this previous cycle at the top. So this extended from about November of 2024 all the way to February of 2025. This acted as the floor. So now it's acting as the roof as we approach it. All right, so the next one we're looking at, just to give the big picture outlook, this move that's happening on the lower time frames is actually a touch on this lower trend line of this longer term rising channel. And this is a log scale chart on the 3-day for Bitcoin. So we're comparing this to the Bitcoin 2014 to 2017 rally. We had a very similar pattern. We had two green consolidations within a rising channel. Just like on this cycle alone, we're getting this consolidation within this rising channel. This buy the dip scenario that we had in 2014 to 2017, you only had 2 chances to buy this dip after these consolidations happened. So now we potentially could have seen this first buy the dip scenario. From here, we could potentially go up to this upper trend line, just like we have in the past. And that could be a pretty outrageous target, close to 140. You might be pushing 150 to 160,000. It's kind of hard to gauge exactly how much the trajectory is going to be from here. So this next chart we're looking at, this is one of the tweets from CZ that he posted. This was way back in 2020. He was predicting that the current price action, which is actually this green highlighted area, this is the arrow that he's pointing to for this part of the price action. He's saying this will become that. So this is usually what happens every cycle. Bitcoin will make a huge move to the upside, and the previous side that we thought was massive at the time literally just becomes a pancake. So now if we look at the current price on Bitcoin, or the current price action on the Bitcoin chart, this is a 3-day, this is a linear chart. So if you look back over here, this is log scale. And if you turn that log scale into a linear chart, then you get this beautiful parabolic curve starting to form. So now that we've seen this starting to have an upward trajectory, we can see this price action back here that CZ was talking about is starting to minimize and minimize, get flatter and flatter. I think definitely by the end of this cycle, this will be a lot closer to being a flat line like he was anticipating back here.
Wow, I absolutely love that you bring this up, because this is what I try to stress all of my audience to think, to zoom out, and all of this kind of like commotion and emotion that we're feeling with these dips and this kind of like volatility is going to just be a blip on the radar in the future. And that's what we've said every single cycle. And that's what's coming to fruition here. So it's really important to zoom out when, you're kind of amidst all of this volatility to understand where we're headed. So that's why I like how you juxtapose the higher timeframes with the shorter timeframes. And we kind of come to, a short-term, midterm, and long-term outlook. And it helps people stay very grounded.
Yeah, 100%. So that's like the key factor of looking at any chart is you want to look at the big picture first, and then you're trying to establish a bullish idea all the way down through the time frames until you basically hit a wall. So if you're finding bullish ideas on the weekly, and then you zoom into the daily and you have more bullish ideas, like maybe some bullish divergence after a dip, and then you go down to the 4-hour and you start to see a falling wedge forming, and you can keep going right down into the time frames until you say, whoa, maybe on the 15-minute I can see a double top. So that's your first bearish sign that you've seen in that whole range of timeframes. So once you get to that point, you can say, okay, this is where I'll wait for this double top to play out, and then I'll try to get a better entry because you know what the bigger picture looks like. It makes you a little more confident to jump into a dip when you see them on those lower time frame charts.
Absolutely, which is why it's so important to look at all angles in order to kind of like get your entry right. And guys, before we go on to the next chart, do sign up to the Capital Mindset. We're having a big sale right now. Isn't that right, Trip?
Yeah, there's a pretty good sale going on. We have the combo plan sale. That's a discount for 30% on all combo plans. And then we also have 20% discount just for the next couple of days. That's for any regular spot membership or leverage membership for 6 months or 12 months. And if you get a 12-month plan, everybody gets a free month. So you get a 13th bonus month with any of our regular plans as well.
Yeah, guys, now is the time to hone in on your skills, to get involved, to learn how to trade. You've got the absolute best mentor right here, along with all of the other top analysts in the space, helping you with your leverage setups, your trades. I mean, we've just been nailing all of the best setups. We'll show you now some of the winners that we've had from these previous weeks, but we're right on the verge of this next parabolic season. And you want to be ready for that because there's a lot of money to be made in just this next move. So this is a very important skill and you don't want to miss out on this. We've got the sale going for the 20% for the next couple of days and the 30% for combos. So do sign up and get ready for what's to come.
Right. Yeah, that combo deal also ends on April 1st. So we're going to have new specials coming, but I would jump on those. I think those are going to be the hottest sales, at least for this half of the year. So we'll see what happens later on. This next chart, the next chart we're going to look at, this is total 3. So this is like an overall view of all of the mid to large caps, excluding Ethereum. So Ethereum has a big effect on the market. If you choose total 3, you take Ethereum out of the equation, and you kind of get a better idea of what everything else is doing as a whole. So same thing with the total 3 on the one-day chart as Bitcoin. You got these bullish divergences popping up. So you have it on the MACD lines down here. You got it also on the histogram, and you have it on the RSI. On the RSI is my favorite. That pretty much seals the deal for me. So now we're looking at the price action. On the one day, we had broken below, just like Bitcoin, broken below the one day 200 MA. And now that we've crawled back above it, we're starting to move against this upward trend line. So very similar to Bitcoin, we're watching these falling wedges about to break out. Once this falling wedge has broken, we're looking for a test of about 933 billion. Maybe you could round it up to about 1 trillion for our major resistance for total 3. And then after those levels are cleared, we're probably going to test the highs again at about 1.13 trillion. And hopefully we get some continuation to the next level up at the 1.272. And that's at about 1.36 trillion. So that's at least 30% bigger market cap just for total 3 on a whole if this move plays out just to this second resistance.
That's huge. I mean, it's looking very, very bullish all across the board, but this is looking very good. It's been a long consolidation and a long wait, but even then, there's been money to be made in the volatility during this time. And now we're right there. We're right on the verge of a breakout. So this is exciting.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. So we had a couple of good trades in here. I think there was a couple of shorts that we had during this period. And then we got a couple of these bounces. So again, this is a one-day chart. A lot of these were fairly short-term trades, like a 1-hour falling wedge breakout. Maybe you had a double bottom down here for this move. But yeah, there's a lot of opportunities going on. When you look at the higher time frames, you can take advantage of a lot of the action from the swings just in this bigger time frame idea. The next one we're going to look at is Solana. So we have Solana and HBAR for our altcoin updates that we're going to take care of today. Right now for Solana, we've already broken out of this falling wedge and we're breaking above the 4-hour 200 MA at the same time. With these fibs here, we're looking for a break above the 0.5 next. So that's at about 150 to 151 for SOL. Once we break that level, we're looking for a move to about 185. And then hopefully we get some extensions beyond that. Just like the total 3 chart, once it starts breaking these resistances, we're looking for the next levels up. So that'll be the 272 at 217. Up to the 1.118 at 261. And then at some point, we're probably going to test the highs again for Solana around $295 to $300.
Yep, that's phenomenal trades to get into right now. I mean, now is the time to start learning, get set up, understand where everything's at. And Solana is a good indicator for a lot of the other higher caps as well.
Yeah, 100%. So a lot of people used to use Ethereum back in the previous cycles as our guide for altcoins. But now that Sol has, shown itself or proven itself to be a leader, we're starting to watch the movements of Solana to give us an edge on what other altcoins could be doing too, especially any coins that are in the Solana ecosystem.
Right.
The next one we're going to look at, this is HBAR. It's our final chart for the day. So this is another update from our previous video. We were looking for a support entry right here and hoping for this double bottom, right? This possible double bottom that looked like it was forming. So now we're getting more confirmation on this double bottom. A lot of these support orders have filled. And if this measured move starts to play out, we're looking at a move to about 53 cents for HBAR. And that would be the measured move. If you wanted to call this a bull flag, it's not a perfect bull flag, but we could kind of draw it in. All right, so you got one line at the top and you got your other line at the bottom. So, a 1-day chart with a bull flag, it's a pretty bullish idea. You got a double bottom at the bottom of this bull flag. I think HBAR could be really close to getting ready to go. If you didn't catch the support entry, your next entry will be waiting for a break of this falling wedge or the flag that we're talking about.
Right. Wow. It's looking good. HBAR is looking good. In fact, we have that clip from the last episode that we're following up on. So if you didn't watch that last episode, it'll be linked here at the end of the video because there's just so many gems in this. And, this is what we give to the group 24/7. But Trip comes on here to give it to our audience so you guys can just get a taste of what's happening and to keep you updated. So, it's HBAR is looking phenomenal. That's a pretty massive move upcoming if it does break out of this wedge. So, I know there's a lot of juicy setups in the group right now as well. And I'm just excited for what's ahead.
Yeah, me too. I think there's a lot of underlying bullishness. We also had that the blue dot buy signal on the hash ribbons. So there's a lot of crazy confluence going on. You had the daily bullish divergence, you had the 4-hour bullish divergence, you got the falling wedge breaking out, Bitcoin moving above the 200 MA on the daily. I mean, everything looks like it's ready for a reversal. And then you throw that blue buy signal on top of it. Those aren't immediate always. Usually it takes a little while for that to kick in. So it might be the last stages of accumulation, or maybe you get one final dip right before that actually takes off. But still, it's always pretty close to within a week or two, maybe a month at the most before you start seeing action.
Yeah, I mean, we're right there. So this could potentially be the final dip before our next massive leg up. So, it's time to make moves. It's time to get involved. If you're on the sidelines, it's just time to get prepared. Right. So that's what we're doing here now. And man, I couldn't be more bullish. Trip, thank you so much for jumping on again and updating our audience. I absolutely love you here on the channel. And I can't wait for when we have our follow-up video next and we see where we're at.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. Thank you, Megan.
Yeah, thank you.